Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 12th of August. So we've continued along. It was interesting because we had an early start to a positive move from steel early on, and it faded towards the end of the day as word came of Biden's selection and a little market unease with that, but still relatively benign given the fact that we've been in cyan under red for over a week plus now, which is still always a buy. And we've just had some soft steel readings on DOC, which means short-term buyers have been back and forth in and out, and not too much of a surprise. I mean, we were starting to see a little bit of extreme at the start of the day. Unfortunately, it did not turn out to be that case, and so we ended up with now just lower extreme histograms, which can just give us a fluctuation. It's really, we really looked at the extreme when we have, as we say, extreme situations where it's either moving towards the positive or below the negative 55 green or the 60 of red, and those become critical elements. We can see in futures right now doing very nicely. From a NASDAQ standpoint, again, been weaker and should have broken down further, except for the fact that we've had this rising steel. So we've had a complete cascade of the shakeout of that. So complete divergence between NASDAQ and S&P. So the broader market is starting to get a little bit more attention than some of the high-flying tech that had already taken place. Of course, we saw Apple and some of these other ones having some issues. Euro is going to continue to float around up in these elevated areas simply because it suits the Fed to have an elevated euro for trade imbalance purposes. Not to mention, there could be some case made that the euro a little more cohesive in the sense that the zone is equally doing horrible, as opposed to in America where you have some states that are doing very well, some that are doing poorly, and this is all because of the differential between the application of their COVID response. So from an oil standpoint, again, the clear manipulation of maintaining this right in that 42 range, that becomes basically a floor around 40, and it's just a matter of a press towards the 50. This is literally their ultimate goal, but I think they were waiting or expecting a little bit further improvement in the general move of COVID as far as its completion. So we've talked about the positive extremes from gold standpoint. We knew that we were in a little bit of weakness here with the steel dipping below negative 13, and until it was going to come back above, we just had to wait for it. But at the same time, you ended up with the DOC spread breakdown of midterm buyers along with active shorts well above the 0 point, and we've actually dipped below the red line on that initial move. So just filling in a series of these, we've taken out this last run here and kind of filled this gap, which is a very popular thing for a lot of people, but we know that the positive extreme began all the way down and as low as the 172. It doesn't change the general bias from gold being, fantastic. If we look at the 5K chart, early on we ended up with the setup buy, and then we ended up with the spike of orange underneath. Power Mo had been in the buy since, well, back over here at this particular stage, right down around the 33.25 range, and from there continued to cross. We haven't really seen any tick back up. Maybe here, as we're seeing the secondary expansion again, the contraction, and we look for the expansion. So the contraction was here, and then the expansion, boom, giant shoot up, and puts us all the way back up to that 33.59 resistance. And amazing how pre-market we hit it and rejected right off of it. So the algo is continuing to have their significance even here. Late in the game, as far as pre-market goes, we're not too far off the actual open, so hopefully we will get to see a broad fill action within matching this high, and then from there we will be able to determine whether or not we're going to get a decent breakout. We had yellow readings. It's not required for a full retrace on those at all, but I would not be surprised to see a little bit more of a backfill into this big uptick. So it's just a question of is there enough force at the 33.59 range to really shut us above or not? We'll find out shortly. As always, though, anything relevant I will put on the Skype chat. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.